welcome to another episode of Out on a Limb podcast with your hosts, Will and Samantha on my right, and I'm Allison. And we have a Halloween episode. No, we're not dressed up, but this is going to be your pre-Halloween episode, a few days before Halloween. And we're going to start off with Halloween jokes, dumb Halloween jokes. Samantha, do you remember? You didn't commit yours to memory?
I'm so bad at joke delivery that I have it written down here.
Okay, go ahead.
Why don't ghosts have babies?
Why don't ghosts have babies?
Because they have Halloweenies.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
I know, that's a groaner.
What do you call a ghost with a broken leg?
Bob.
Oh,
that's Neil.
A hoblin' goblin.
A hoblin' goblin.
Isn't that cute?
That.
That's so cute.
Oh, that was not a groaner. That was actually cute.
It was cute. I thought that was
marginal.
I didn't have as much time. Notice he's not telling a joke.
No, I am not.
So he sits and
you're not allowed to be the critic.
But on this Halloween episode, we thought it would be fun to talk to you guys today about some divination tools and methods.
I know. Okay. We're going to have to open up the whole episode, cue the spooky music.
Right.
And that's why you see a little, what do we call this? A ball?
A little crystal ball.
Crystal, kind of crystal.
No.
Is that crystal?
It is crystal. I think it's
it's just not a quartz crystal.
Not a clear crystal.
It's not clear quartz crystal.
Right,
and we have some little cats that aren't black, but that's okay. And we have a little alien head.
Yep.
Those are our Halloween props.
Yeah. Sorry, because a lot of times we feel what hits us in the moment. And because we do it that way, we can't, like when we did the crystal episode, I didn't bring up all my crystals because we didn't. Yeah. So, but that's okay because we can riff.
That's right.
We're spontaneous.
That's right.
All right. So I hope you guys are gearing up for a fun Halloween. And, sometimes Halloween is controversial in the spiritual world.
It's weird. It goes up and down. Some years people are really kind of it's don't paint me as a witch or make fun of witches or whatever, or especially in the school system. Oh my God.
They're curtailing what you can dress up as a lot.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the symbolism of Halloween came from, and I think the holiday itself from paganism, right? And Wiccans and people that work with the earth and nature and all of that sort of stuff. But it's been hijacked for bad, unfortunately. So there's really,
if you like the candy. And the parties.
Yeah.
Okay. But
right. But a lot of the symbolism has been kind of hijacked.
Yeah.
And turned inside out and making people afraid, we're devil worshiping or different things. And that's not the case. And you can have fun with Halloween, make it what you want. And it's the intent. It's always about the intent.
It's kind of like how Christmas starts, before Thanksgiving. It's
already started.
Oh, it's
already started.
Go to Lowe's.
Oh yeah,
they already have it all out.
Walmart, Lowe's, go wherever. Everything Christmas is.
But
out.
It doesn't take away from the actual meaning of the season. It is like having fun at Halloween.
It is kind of weird looking at Santa Claus staring at the evil Halloween
zombie
animatron zombie guy. So it is kind of, they're on each opposite end of the aisle and they're looking at each other doing their thing, and
you need a skeleton Santa. And then
that's a good point. Just do it all at once.
So
right. Let's just blend it all together.
But I saw a funny meme that had a bunch of Christmas trees in a store and there was a witch poking through. Yeah.
Oh my god,
that was cute. Like, let me out of here.
See, if I was a merchandiser and I was setting those things up, that's probably what I would intermingle.
If they're going to force you to put both holidays out at once,
have fun with it.
Exactly. I'd put the skeletons right amongst the trees.
That is fun.
Put ghosts behind the baby manger.
Sure.
Oh, I don't know how Jesus would feel about that.
It'd be controversial. You get a lot of people coming to your particular location.
You would have a lot of people coming to your store.
They sure would. That's for sure. Okay. So we're going to talk about divination tools and methods. And this is interesting because Will and I actually don't have a lot of experience or information about this. So
they just came onto the scene with all of this, channeling stuff and
from 0 to 100.
Yeah. It is just like, you just come out here and you just do this stuff.
We pulled the card that said, don't stop it, don't go to jail. Just
that kind of thing. Well, whereas I've sat there in the trenches, along with many of you guys, doing the skill building, which so it was meant to unlock it in you at some point. And definitely, with the path that you've taken, it's the same thing where it's just unfolding and all of us, it unfolds in its right time. But tools help us to engage and develop, build a dialogue with our spirit guides, and whoever wants to come visit and talk to us. And so there's things that we can actually start to do to develop our psychic abilities because they're there. It's just whether you're tuned into them, turning them on.
Right. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about are still valuable. They're still happening. Like
they're still being used,
remote viewing, for
example.
Still
fun to do.
Let's start with the remote viewing because we're still getting a lot of information out there. If you're on TikTok, you're probably getting it on TikTok about remote viewers.
Why do you say it so disgruntlingly?
She's such a hater.
I know, right?
No, because I'm not the only lone holdout. We found that out on our comments section.
That's right.
Thank goodness. But you still give me a hard time about download it already. I'm like, no.
I actually had a dream the other night that she actually downloaded. I was like, oh my God, this is actually really nice.
Did you felt fulfilled?
This thing shouldn't be.
Oh my God.
But anyway, you're probably hearing a lot of remote viewers are seeing this in our future in the next couple of months because there is a lot of crazy stuff coming our way, and remote viewers are still finding that out, and that's a fascinating skill that people have. So,
and we can all do it,
right? Yes.
Did you ever try that?
I not to a full extent, but I did take. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but I did take a class. There's a particular woman that is kind of the front runner in remote viewing. She puts on several classes a year, and she has a whole practice of how to lock into a location and then remote view. So I did go through that process. But I've not practiced it since, but I did have some interesting experiences of being able to, during the class, they give you primers and you do your technique. And for the people that were in the class, we all, because we had to send in what we saw, and then she basically critiques them, and we did all go to the same location and see.
Neat.
Yeah, just for a glimpse. And
didn't she work for the government for a long time?
Yes, she was part. Yeah, she was part of the whole remote viewing program. Whether you guys
know it or not, the government is a big employer.
Yeah, they're employing a lot
of big employer of remote viewers and all of this kind of psychological stuff. So if your friends tell you that this is woo-woo, it is most definitely not woo-woo. The government knows.
Yeah, because they're compiling this information and they're doing the same thing that we do with discernment, where they're layering it one on top of the other, seeing where that nexus point of truth is to gain more information. Why wouldn't you use that?
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's a formal way of already kind of doing what we're doing by tapping into the quantum field.
Yeah.
I mean, they formalized the process so that it can be done virtually by anybody.
Yeah.
Without the woohoo, stigmatism behind it. Woohoo. Woohoo. Woo.
Sure, he got into the whole
yeah. All right, we'll take that instead of a joke.
There you go.
Well, so the way that I learned it through, they call it this PAT method or something, which I don't remember what stands for. And so people sit there and go, well, why should I even learn how to do this?
Yeah.
And all of it's skill building. All of it is when you're able to do these things and validate amongst a group of people that what you're seeing is what they're seeing and so forth, it builds that evidence, that body of truth that, yes, you have these abilities, that we are much more than just what we see as our human bodies, what's right in front of us. So I love the one that we did in this one course that I took, because the woman, she had told her friend just, to be outdoors. She didn't want to know anything else because she didn't want us psychically picking up on what she knew her friend would be doing. Right. So she just said, just please be outdoors. And so, we went through the process, close our eyes, and we all saw different aspects. And, sometimes the colors were a little bit different. Sometimes the placement was a little bit different. But for me, I saw the side of this Victorian house in this very elaborate garden, and she was out in the garden snipping at her flowers, and she had on a hat. Now, some people saw the hat, some people didn't see the hat. But almost everyone saw her, they saw her in the garden.
Right.
Now, whether they saw her actually cutting or whatever, it was the coolest thing. And, it's I don't know. I think it's the coolest experience because then you just go, wait, what?
Yeah.
So there's been a guy floating around on YouTube again, Darius. What did I say his name was?
Right.
Darius Wright.
Darius Wright, I think.
He's very interesting. And I personally think he's on the up and up. Check on your own discernment. But at any rate, he talks a lot about and teaches out-of-body experiences and going places while you're out of body. So he teaches you how to get into that, what do they call it when you're physically can't move in the middle of the night?
Kind of like the
sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. Yep. Yeah, thank you. Sleep paralysis. So you have to get into that first so that your body doesn't go anywhere. And then you can pull your body out. So I wonder, is that kind of what remote viewers are doing, that you're taking your consciousness and you're going somewhere?
Yeah.
So is that different than taking your etheric body out somewhere?
I think that when you're taking your etheric body out, I think that it's more tactily, feel it. Whereas remote viewing, it's more like, it's more of a psychic sense rather than your I was about to say your physical energetic body.
No, and he says you do feel more real. You feel more physical.
It's more of like
in that state than you do in your physical.
You're more of in a lucid state during that, in an out of body experience than when you are doing remote viewing. Remote viewing is more or less, I mean, to your point, it's more or less connecting to a stronger psychic stream than if you're, like if I'm sitting with a client, I'm doing psychic work with a client. It's strong, but it's not a collective connection point, meaning there's multiple people that are trying to connect to the same exact spot. So eventually it all just gets amplified and you make the connection and you all individually. And to your point, it's not going to be cookie cutter exact the same for each individual, but when you compile all the information that is put together, it paints a very clear picture.
It's a portrait. It's interesting. Well, so there's one experience I've had that's in between the two, and it was, I guess, very similar to what Darius talks about, where and I don't know that I was in sleep paralysis, but I realized I was in a dark room and that there were two people sleeping in bed. And I was walking up to, and the thing is, what was really freaky about this is that I knew, like, I am seeing through eyes and not feeling body, but seeing through eyes. And I see a hand reach down and open a drawer and then shut it. And then there was a vanity over here, like kind of a wall, and there's a door, or an opening. And there's like a vanity and then a closet on the other side. And then you walk through to the actual bathroom. So it's kind of like where a woman would put on makeup and that kind of thing. So all of a sudden my vision turns towards that and approaches, and again, opening the drawer and then seeing scissors and then pulling out the scissors. And then I felt myself gasp because I was like, this is nefarious. This was, somebody was doing this. And when I went like that, all of a sudden it was like, there was this, it was almost like having somebody look inwards, like they were aware that someone was on for the ride.
Wow.
And I just shot back out of my body and like getting goosebumps. It was the craziest experience.
You have no idea where you were.
No, I mean, I could draw the room. I know exactly what the room looked like.
It could be any random person.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was afraid that he would somehow clue into the fact that I clued into him.
Yeah.
So I haven't really, I've done it like one other time since then, because it was during a time where I was like, do I want a remote view? Like, wouldn't it be cool to work with the police? Like, I really had it in my intention to do that. Southern policemen, I have yet to find one who takes it seriously. I tried to have a conversation with one that he does cold cases. And I was like, I would love to work with you, because the other remote viewing I've done was to find a body. And, but I found it. I knew where it was. I was telling people, but nobody was going to come to me. Nobody of authority wanted to hear it from me.
Yeah.
And that's remote viewing too, even though it's, I could see the event occur. Yeah, that was interesting. We just had like, okay, now it's going to get spooky.
Now it's haunted. Our place is haunted. What was that? The windows are closed.
Smashing the window. It was,
I think I know what it was. It was the cord in the blinds releasing.
God, that was like freaky.
What would a Halloween show be without haunting?
Some paranormal activity.
But anyway, so I mean, it was a past event, but then I could see where the body was lodged, floating under a dock. And I knew nobody was going to see that. And it took them, a day or two to find it. So anyway, so those are uses of remote viewing that are, very, very useful.
Yeah. There's a local medium here in Charleston, that actually does work with the police departments around here to do remote viewing for
that's nice that
cases.
They're using her. Yeah. Because I've had people say, well, okay, what happened to this person or what happened to, and I'm just like, it's kind of like, you don't really build up the energy to figure this stuff out on your own. Like, it's like, what's the point? I can't sit there and go, well, where is this person? What are they doing? Because that's not a false intent. It's like, why is that energy going to get built up for me to view that? I need someone else asking me. And when they ask, then I can see it.
Purposeful.
So, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So that's an interesting topic, right? What about this scrying? That's always kind of a haunted.
See, and I've never heard of that before, unless you tell me what it was. And then once I knew what it was, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because that's like, like you just think of the, the old witches going like this, ooh, long nails and bad breath. But I'm sorry, that's like the
stereotyping.
Yes.
Right. Pointy hat.
So it's really, you're in a dark space, has to be complete dark. Right.
Well,
with a reflective surface.
So I've had someone, the way she did it, she used red light so that it's dark, but you have enough of a light that you can see a pattern shift on whatever you're looking at. So you can use like obsidian. Is that
I think
obsidian?
That's what that is. Yeah.
An obsidian ball or crystal. Oftentimes crystal balls are used, or you can use like take a pot of water, like that has like just either silver or black underneath.
Oh yeah.
And you can do a pot of water and look at that as well.
Or a mirror, right?
Can't
you use a mirror?
Yeah, you can use a mirror. I would not use a mirror. Sorry, I'm one of those people that after all the horror movies,
oh my goodness, you guys!
I could not go there.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I wouldn't use a mirror.
Somebody shows up behind you on the mirror.
Well, you don't know what you're going to pull through.
Right,
or you get pulled in.
Oh my gosh!
This is a Halloween episode.
I'm pretty sure we've had episodes about letting go of
because
fear.
I've had freaky things happen with mirrors where, like, then I'd go through a period of time where I was avoiding them, trying to get around them, or like would not look at them if the room was dark.
Hey, I'm what, 55, 54 years old. I still don't look at the mirror when I go in the bathroom at night. I don't. Nope, will not.
Y'all are funny.
Will not.
But
I don't know where I'm going to go.
There that anyway, and I won't watch. I really don't like watching horror movies anymore because my brain is very good at creating certain things. And that's, so if it watches one where there's a mirror, I'm sorry, the stress of my life, I don't need it.
All right. We're going to do scrying without a mirror. So tell us about scrying.
Yeah. So scrying, like if you use the red light, that's helpful. But you want the room almost dark because you need to be able to see that surface. And then it's really a matter of, taking a deep breath like you do with everything else, relaxing and unfocusing your eyes and just allowing time to pass. I don't have the patience for it, to be honest. I sat there and just looked and just gone, okay. Yeah.
What would you be looking for? Just a symbol or a whole scene to unfold in that?
That's the question. What are you going to see? I've never. Right. So yeah, you could see symbols. You could, I'm good with my visual mind in here and have lots of stuff come through. I would understand that to be just another way for me to project. Yeah. And so that's just using a different set of skills
as a trigger for.
So it's
another medium by which the information will come.
Yeah. So it'd probably be very helpful for me to do that.
I might try that. Seems fun.
It's along the lines of mindfulness practice.
It gives you a point of focus. That's what I was just thinking. If I'm looking at the ball, then my mind's not wandering out.
Oh, it tries. It still tries.
But at least you have something to draw you back.
Instead of sitting there, trying to meditate and the thoughts, because the thoughts don't quite go through your mind as much because you're looking at that with unfocused eyes.
You can meditate on a candle too and do the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you can scry with that too.
Well, very cool. So that's the second option. All right. How about tea leaves and coffee grounds? That's interesting. Have you ever tried that?
No, I've seen it on TV. No, I've taken it and tried to do it to see if there would be something meaningful come out of it. And I have yet to, okay. So just like with any intuitive practice, whatever comes through, you're supposed to just say it.
Right.
And I had a harder time just trusting what was coming through, just looking at it, because it wasn't meaningful. Because there are people who actually practice it. My understanding is that in a way, it's kind of like how runes are and so forth, that
they the way, a pattern.
The pattern conveys something.
Yeah.
So there is a format or structure to the patterning that you can learn.
It's an interpretation
that have certain
of
meanings
to
start. That's to start, a place to start, really.
Yeah.
Just like tarot cards have a
as far as coffee grounds, you're not going to take your just the coarse grounds that you normally make coffee with. It's typically like a Turkish coffee. And I don't know if you've ever had because I don't know if you've ever had Turkish coffee. So Turkish coffee or that Arabian or Arabic coffee like that, the coffee grounds themselves, it's almost like a powder, and you mix it directly in the water and you let it sit, and it creates a layer of mud. Okay. And so you swirl that around and through the
that.
Right. And basically the pattern that builds from the bubbles that come up in that, then you can start reading those grounds.
So these are
I've never done it, but that's what
jumping off points or tools for your own intuitive information, right? Yeah.
And with the tea leaves, the idea is you're drinking it and then you set it down and the person will hold it and look. So in theory and in practice, I don't have scientific way to measure it, but you have now imparted your energy, the same as if you were to hold tarot cards and then hand it to the reader. It's
like a form of psychometry.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. Psychometry. What is psychometry?
Nice segue, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was perfect. Thank you, honey.
Psychometry is
unscripted.
Fun.
Yeah.
That I've done more of.
I know what it is. I don't know that I've done it, but it's holding an object that belongs to someone and trying to tune into the energy of that someone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yep. Or not necessarily that someone. So my experience with it. So a good friend, Elaine, while one of the classes I was teaching, she brought in a ring.
No, the person who owned that. That's what I'm talking about.
The person that originally owned it, yes, not the person that actually is owning it at that point.
Right.
And so she gave it to me. Everybody else was doing their mediumship practice. And she said, "Hey, well, come here. Tell me what you got what you get, from this ring." So I sat with it for a little bit, and this whole scene started unfolding, and it was
it's like a movie reel.
Exactly. It took me a second until I could get into the energy of it. But once the energy locked in, it was like this movie reel started playing, and I just was conveying that to Elaine, and she's like, "Yep, So it was very interesting how that all unfolded.
So did you feel, or did you see, or were you feeling anything from it as well? Heat or emotionally?
There was no emotion, but for me, it was like, when I first held it, it felt really, really cold. And then as I was holding it, that cold never went away, even though I held it in the palm of my hand for quite a while. But it felt as if like this electrical charge started running up my arm. And then that's when the movie started playing. So
interesting, right?
Yeah. Because, like the typical practice is, everybody comes to a circle kind of reading type thing when you're practicing, and everybody puts their stuff in and grabs something else out at the end, like goes around again, you hold on. And so you first start to, what's the weight? What is it, cold? Is it warm or whatever? Is it bringing up any colors? Is it vibrating? Is it still? And then, you start to feel into it more, and you might start to feel emotions. Like if you're an empath, which I'm empathic. So a lot of times I'll pick up emotions. And for me, it's like, I don't even need to hold on to an object necessarily. I had something happen not too long ago that was like, yep, this is why I don't get things that are old. Because I go into a bead shop, and it's just the guy sells beads and puts together all kinds of cool stuff. And one of those really fun, supposed to be fun time. And he had in his display this silver clad brush and comb and mirror set.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "That's interesting." He said, "It's antique." And I said, "I know." And I'm looking at it, and all I have to do is to look at the object, and that reel starts to play.
You're drawn into
and
it,
I pulled the emotions, and it was like, I wouldn't have touched it with a 10-foot pole, because I could see this woman who she was only valued for her beauty. And, it was one of those things of brushing your hair over and over again. It was like 18th century, late 18th century, valued for her beauty. And that it's kind of like she was sold into the marriage, like an arranged marriage. And it was all based on, because she was beautiful, she was going to provide beautiful children. Her life was so empty and hollow beyond that. And all of those emotions, because that's when she would look at herself and just be
reflect.
Most intense. Wow. And so a lot of times with stuff like that, I don't have to put my hands on it. I can just look at it, and it's just like all of that gets conveyed.
Which is a good point, because energy stays with furniture and items. And even if it's not bad energy, if you're very sensitive to energy, then you might be having a problem with a piece of furniture in your house that you got from,
or go to a flea market.
Well, I was just going to say, we were just up in the mountains, and we had some friends with us, and one that's very sensitive to energy and everything. And we walked into an antique place, and she was like, I got to get out of here.
Yep.
I got to. She had to go outside.
No, it was Maria.
Okay. Yeah. So she had to go touch a tree.
Well, but see, that's where that I've mentioned before, where you've got to pull all of that energy and all that aura, you know, like you got to pull yourself in real tight, and not be pulling that information into you,
right? So
that you can walk through a flea market, because I would go to places,
or Walmart.
A sinkhole of energy. Yeah.
But so with the classic psychometry, yes, you're holding onto it, you're feeling it. It's a great way to initiate those feelings, those emotions, and start to prove to yourself that you have that ability. And it's always fun, because people will bring, things that really nice mementos, and you're able to tell them the story about it. And it's especially wonderful when the person can confirm, because otherwise they're kind of giving it to you and you're telling the story and they're like, I don't really know.
Right.
So,
one of the last classes we did when I was doing the classes up here, and we decided to do psychometry. I told them, I said, make sure you know the background.
Yeah. If you bring your great grandmother's whatever, and you don't know much about her life, then you're not helpful in confirming.
Right.
Exactly.
In a teaching experience. All right. Palm reading.
I get people asking me if I will read their palms all the time.
Have you ever had a palm reading? Have any of you guys ever had a palm reading?
Well, so palm reading is very similar to astrology, in the sense that, there are things that have been charted. Like it is definitely charted in your, the Mons, what do they call it? Mons Venus, and, and then your lifeline and all that kind of stuff. But
I'm looking at my palm as if I know what I'm looking at. So
apparently these little fat pads, is that what you were talking about? Yeah. So they have a meaning.
Yeah. And then
the long line. Well, the line that goes down.
Your lifeline.
But it's basically like, okay, so when astrologists sit there and say, okay, well, you were born, there's this nexus, and you were born on this, and that means that's why this is your personality.
Right.
All of that is kind of the ingredients that make up the basis of who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And then you add all of your experiences on top of it to make you even more colorful. And so that, my understanding is basically, astrology is like that, where it's kind of baked into our hands, and your hands can actually, those lines shift.
Yeah.
But, like I had someone looked at my palms, and they said, well, you're going to, see this line. And she explained it all. She said, you'll be married twice. The first one short, the other one longer. And you're going to have 2 children. One will be a boy, one will be a girl. And then from the next marriage, you'll have a boy. And like, she told me all of this stuff from, looking, and she said, if you notice this line, it's going to change as you get older. It's going to do this, because I can see this, that, and it has to connect. And I don't know, but it is like astrology is the closest thing, because there is
that makes sense.
An equation to it.
Wow.
But what else is interesting to me when we were talking to our friend about that is your fingerprint also stays with you, and it's unique to you, right? That's why they use them.
Doesn't have one anymore. My mom does not have fingerprints.
How'd that happen?
She's 84. I don't know. It's not like she was a cook and burned off her fingers. But
are you sure
so she could go rob a bank?
Are you sure she's not a criminal on the side?
Yeah,
she's not sitting there with sandpaper doing this.
So when she had to get like they do digital fingerprinting now, and they had to like open up the dusty stuff, uncrate the dusty stuff, and get her to go in and
ink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because she can't, but yeah. So,
but I wonder, tell us,
but it's the same thing.
Tell us in the comments if you know of this. Is this a practice where they can read your fingerprints and tell certain things about your fingerprints? I would imagine there is.
Well, I know there's things about like whether your hand, arcs out, whether this is longer than this, that all of those give evidence to certain.
I just thought that was arthritis doing that. So.
All right. So obviously we need more information on that. Feel free to fill us in the comments.
As we've mentioned, we're not the foremost experts in any of
not
this.
On everything.
It's quick hits, but it's enough to like, well, that sounds, it's either going to resonate with you or not. And you go, oh, I want to do that.
It's just fun stuff. Right. Yeah. It's great stuff.
All right. So this is a good Halloweeny one. Runes and bones.
Ooh.
Runes
and I Ching. I Ching. I Ching is another, it's like runes, but it's, like you're learning all the different, I guess with runes, you learn the meanings of those two. Obviously I don't do either.
Well, runes are Viking, right?
Okay.
Or
and
Nordic.
I Ching is
more Asian.
Asian. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's the Asian equivalent.
And then there's bones, which is,
that's more like Caribbean and African and yeah. More voodoo-ish. We'll call that.
Maybe.
Well, so runes and I Ching, they have actual meanings stamped into the bones. Whereas, when you talk about bones, you're going back to kind of tea leaves. It's how they fall the pattern and you're making meaning out of it.
Yeah, you throw them down and you read the pattern of what's there.
That's kind of gruesome. Perfect for Halloween.
And I've tried to I Ching there. I can't remember. There's like so many different patterns that can come out of it. And so it's like a major, like trying to remember all of them. I got so overwhelmed by it because I'm a rules breaker. And if I can't learn it quickly, so I've dipped into a lot of this stuff.
So I Ching, so there's, is there like how many with I Ching?
Think of like dominoes.
Oh, so there's that many. I mean, there's
think in terms that, you put it this way and then this way. Then, so how they get set down can mean
kind of the same with tarot because they can be upside down or right side up.
If you're reading tarot traditionally, yes. Yeah.
And
so we can move into that.
And runes, I think there's a small grouping of them, but it's how they're cast down that you read them and get the message. So
yeah,
cool.
It's intense.
All right. So talking about tarot cards or oracle cards, that's a very, very common tool.
And that's, to me, that is, I think, the easiest and the most primary way to get into, if you didn't just have it unlocked like Will did, that you get into this, building an evidence of proof that you have this ability. So like the way I teach it is you learn all the meanings of the cards, all of the meanings. And then once you got that down, it's like you're developing that symbol library with your spirit guides so that when you look at it, that's what that means. But then you throw it all away and you create all of your own meanings. Because the thing is, if you always look at a card and say, well, this card only means this, you're losing so much nuance of what else could come through. So then you begin to let anything draw you into the card, and the cards can take on a totally different meaning. Like some cards just mean absolutely one thing for me, and others it'll shift around depending. And then oracle, don't you do oracle cards?
I mean, I do them for myself.
Yeah.
Which typically then you just pull one or maybe three at the most for past, present, and future. But they're a little bit easier, and they're kind of a segue into tarot because a lot of people are hesitant about tarot because a lot of time, the death card, whatever, the tower, whatever,
which does not mean death.
Right. But they've had this negative connotation
and
as being kind of dark.
Yeah. And the tower looks horrible, but like, to me, the tower is like the end of one novel in your life. You might have a 10-part novel, so it's the end of one novel, whereas there's another card, which is it the key? I know I can't remember. But it's where it's the doorway, or
an opening of some,
or maybe I'm thinking of the judgment card. So there's, because there's the one that's like the end of the novel. And then there's a one that's just like, okay, a new chapter starting. Okay. So there's subtle nuances. And like the one that looks like someone's dead, it's the Four of Swords. And there's somebody laying on a crypt in stone, people go, oh my God, that looks horrible. And for me, that's always significant of 4 months, because as an intuitive, we can't really read more than 3 to 4 months out accurately,
Yeah.
somewhat accurately. Even that could be not as accurate.
Sure.
And so when I get that, I'm like, okay, I know that this is, you know, about this time. And then things are going to kind of go off the rails or whatever.
Yeah.
So it all just depends. But yeah, like with the Oracle cards, it's an easier read.
Yeah. I think we did a podcast on some Oracle cards at one point, right? But they have a card description as well. And you can go by that, or you can go internally and see what it's saying to you. So usually when I would pick one a day, I would just have kind of something on my mind or something, a little issue that I've been dealing with, and pull a card. And it was always so spot on. And I think the Oracle cards are super nice for people who are starting to delve into this sort of thing.
It's a gentle way of getting there.
Yeah. And you get confirmation so quickly if you trust. And it's a good way to connect with your guides and let them tell you that they're listening and they know and they're watching and they're willing to communicate with you. So it's a great way to open the door to communication.
Yeah.
But I mean, all these are just, I mean, from what I'm understanding is all of these are just tools to build your confidence and your trust.
Exactly.
I mean, it's, you know,
and they're fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun way of doing it for sure. I mean,
well, like, okay, so I'm lined up now to do a couple of readings for some Halloween parties, which I'm super excited about. And, you know, they want me to do tarot because with tarot, like the person said, like, I can do it without, and I can explain things. Just ask me a question. I can give you an answer, you know, I feel like Lucy, 5 cents, you know? But anyway, it's more engaging. It's more fun for them to actually see that
kind of engage with it. And
right. The same as if you did, you know, tea readings or,
palm.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to do palm because that would be really cool to do for these kinds of things. But that's just kind of expected among things like that. You know, it gives validation, something like that.
So we've exhausted that list, but I do want to mention, another symbol of Halloween are spider webs. And it just occurred to me to talk about that because spiders get a bad rap and webs can be scary. That's why they're a Halloween symbol, right?
You've never ran into it.
Have you ever walked into a banana spider?
I was just going to say, you've never walked into a banana spider web.
I like spiders.
Or
you
ran into it with your bike.
No, I don't like to have them.
I've taken one straight to the face and it scurried around my head and crawled into my bike helmet. So yeah, it's kind of like the cockroach story.
Oh my God.
Well, having grown up here in the South, like banana spiders, everywhere. And there was a lot next to our house that I had to walk through to get to the beach walk when I would sneak out at night to go party with my friends. So I'd be all dressed up and I'd have to I just realized, I don't know why I never grabbed a stick and did this in front of me. I never did that.
So when we're on a hike, I let Will walk in front of me because he takes care of the spider webs.
Oh my God. Cause I mean, you walk into one of those and then you're sitting there going,
all
you just
night
don't know
long.
if it's on you. Okay. So I fun thing, you can go look at my Facebook page, just go down in the past to see this one. I'm fascinated by spiders and I love taking pictures, like close up micro pictures of them. And there was one that was actually a brown widow, which I didn't know existed. But I discovered it because I found these little, the nest things,
the little egg sacs.
And they look like coronavirus.
They do.
Really?
They do.
They do.
And they're ball. It's a little ball with little spikies all around them.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like your common influenza or whatever. I don't know. It's like, it's the craziest thing.
There's got to be something there.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, I never noticed it till 2020.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, this is like, you know, it was like so weird. But anyway, so I have to go through and clean it out and try to get rid of them every once in a while. And so I was out there just a couple of weeks ago and I was like, what is that hanging? Like, cause I could see this blob kind of hanging and I could see a spider web. It was coming down and it was like a trapezius because it was up here and then it was spread across. So they do a triangular spread and in it had somehow caught a lizard. I mean, how do you catch a lizard in a web? Seriously, that lizard couldn't make it out. And
that was a bonus for him, boy.
Yeah. So the close-up picture I got was it basically sucking the life out of him. And the thing spinning. And then when it spins, all of a sudden you see the red hourglass. So it was like, you know, Alfred Hitchcock kind of
video of this?
quality. Yeah. So it's on my website or on my Facebook page. And, but anyway, I go out there next day going, okay, what happened to it? well, the web's gone. And I didn't tear the web up. So I'm kind of going, what the heck happened? And I look down towards the seam of the wall, whatever. And I see a desiccated lizard. And I'm like, but what happened to the web? So then a week goes by and I call our pest guy to come over. And I'm like, I just want to spray under here because I never saw where that spider went to. And they're not really good to have brown water. You just don't need that like in your sitting area and stuff. So I was explaining and he's like, yeah, I'm not sure. And then I'm getting ready to go inside my house and I see one right where my sliding glass door is. And I'm like, well, holy cow, here's one right now. Mm-hmm. And he goes over and he goes, well, damn, yeah, that's a brown widow spider. Mm-hmm. And he said, look at this. And we could see the triangular thing. And I said, well, what was weird was it was missing. Like I didn't tear it down. My husband said he didn't tear it down. He goes, oh, they suck it back up.
They eat it back in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Holy,
for the next night,
all of the work that they put into that.
Mm-hmm. They recycle it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Do they ever sleep?
Probably not.
Yeah. It is seriously the most fascinating.
Well, anyhow, they
Spiders
want some respect for those webs.
I want one other spider story. I got to tell you this, because this was super cool. And I will try to find it to give to you to put on this or something. Because this was the very essence of all of the scary black spider things that you see for Halloween. I was leaving this place where I pick up my mail and I walk past and all of a sudden I see this blob, like I'm just thinking somebody dropped something. I see this blob on the steps but it was glittery. And I was like, a glittery blob. This is weird. What is this? And I'm like, I tell my son, turn on the headlights, because it's dark. And he turns on the headlights. And then I'm seeing all these little sparkles. No. And I'm like, what the heck? No. And it's just this glob. And so I get my phone and I highlight it. And it was, I think it was a mother wolf spider and all of her babies on her back.
Oh my goodness.
And so all of those black spiders that you see that are made, of whatever, they're all sparkly looking. All I can see is that wolf spider now.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I've seen that.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most amazing, like nature just does.
Yeah. Amazing
Aren't
things.
you glad we talked about this?
Well, I was just going to talk about the web.
Okay. So what about the web?
Are you ready?
You talk about the web.
No, I believe we talked to spiders in the Love Notes book, and they said energetically, when energy moves or when the wind carries energy from one side of the web through the web, it changes. It actually changes the energetic.
Oh my gosh.
Of the energy of whatever.
It changes the energy of that. So if they're around your house, it is improving the energy of your house. Not that
like a filter. Like an energy.
Yes, it's an energy filter. That's a great way. That's a good metaphor.
So in haunted houses, that's the reason why there's all those webs, because it's trying to.
I don't know. They just want us to think about that the next time you see one and to maybe say thank you.
So it's intentional when we walk through a web.
Ooh.
Because maybe our energy is getting shifted.
It
sure is getting shifted.
Just as long as the spider's not on the web when we walk through.
But the idea of that
it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Well, they're absolutely fascinating beings. Like, I mean, I know they all creep us out and everything, and if you get into it and you understand all the different positionings of the many eyes and how many different, because that's the first way you tell the difference. And
they are fascinating.
We were just up at the property. Well, I was up at the property a week before we went up, and we've got, it's an overhang and whatever, but in each basically segment of the porch, there was a big, I'm talking a spider that was probably, that big around,
It's not as big as a banana spider.
Well, no, but the body itself.
The body
itself.
Maybe a quarter.
Yeah.
Juicy.
And huge web in each one. And they all had their own separate web. And they were just sitting right in the middle of it. And
they are really amazing creatures. And those are geometric. It is sacred geometry. And it's instinctual and it's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
The one I think I like the most, the jewel spider. I actually gave it to my son to submit because he was going to take a picture, and then for some reason the spider was already gone and send it into National Geographic, so it actually got published.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Under
his name.
That's fascinating.
But so they look like crabs, like crab shells.
Oh, right. Yeah. I call them crab spiders, but I didn't know that's what they were called.
Jewel spiders. Nice. They're called all kinds of different things, but it just looks like a crab shell.
Yeah, they look like a little blue crab.
And they come in all kinds of different colors. And they are, to me, when I see those, like, oh my God, they're my precious babies. Like I try to make sure nothing harms them. You know, it's just, I don't know what the difference is, but maybe with the shell, it feels safer.
I'm just sitting here thinking we probably should put a disclaimer around, I don't know, minute 35, telling people that if you don't like spiders, you might want to cut off now.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people afraid of spiders. And we've been talking about spiders now.
I'll put a banner on it that says warning. Spider,
trigger warning. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Spider conversation ahead. So,
well, because
this wasn't to turn into a spider episode, but it is a Halloween theme,
and that's,
right?
but you know, the thing is, it's interesting. Those things that we resist, you know,
persist.
And, you know, I'm just thinking, we're talking about mirrors and how we don't like mirrors, and we got to get over that if we're asking people to get over, you know, spiders.
Good point. Good point.
But I went through a thing for a while where they were just like, you know, whatever's in front of you, you need to not resist it or persist. And I was really into that at the time. Warning, if you don't like snakes, this is a mention of snakes. And then in a period of 1 week, I encountered 3 different kinds of snakes. One went right over my foot.
Wow.
I was barefoot out in the yard.
Wow.
One was a hognose. That was a black racer. Another one was a hognose snake that went, you know, just kind of like stopped and looked at me. And then another one was a cute little corn snake.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
But you don't know. They look like other things.
Yeah, but it was definitely, yeah. But it was that whole concept. Like I was because I was really skeeved out because our cats would bring them into the house and stuff. So these are things that like you experience that you need to move through.
Embrace.
You don't have to hug it.
And I will say, one of the ways you can do that is the Love Notes book, Love Notes from the Animal Kingdom, has a lot of animals in there that are typically rebuked and not liked. And I wanted to talk to a lot of those collectives for that reason, because they get a bad rap.
Yep.
But they're helpful, like spiders and snakes and rats and wasps and a lot of that stuff. So if you want to renew your relationship with some of those animals and see why they're here and what purpose they serve and how they can help you, feel free to pick that book up.
Have a read.
And all this other stuff we were talking about with all these, kind of went off the rails with that, but all the tools of divination, all that kind of stuff, you don't need anyone to, like, you can pick up a book and read and figure it out. Like you can do this stuff on your own. I just would say, you know, it is helpful. You know, a lot of people don't want to spend the money for it, but taking that little extra time, little extra money, doing a divination circle, working with other people, it does help build that power behind it, the proof, it gets the energy flowing. Like if you're serious about, delving into it, it's not that you have to go reading for other people. I mean, you have to practice with other people, but it's just, it opens your mind up to so much more. It's a gateway drug.
Right? Absolutely.
So create your own group, group in your house and meet once a week and practice with each other and have fun. Approach it like a child is what the collective always tells us.
Yeah,
right.
That makes sense.
And approach Halloween like a child.
Just don't need too much candy.
Yes. Right. So happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
See you guys.